Hey guys, sorry about that. My camera died, so I apologize. But like I said, Kathy was like, the whole thing about Kathy getting into bed with Shane, that Shelly accused her of, and Kathy was like, I definitely wouldn't do that. And Shelly was like, Shane, did she get into bed with you? You know what I mean? And he was like, yes, just because he didn't want to get any kind of beatings or any kind of brutal, so he did agree with Shelly, and that just made things even worse for Kathy. She definitely got the brunt of the beatings and like just abuse, like a lot of verbal and mental abuse, a lot. And a lot of people are like, well, why would she stay then? But that's what happens when you are controlled by someone, controlled by an abuser. You just can't. It's like, I don't know, it's definitely sad. But he just agreed with Shelly because he didn't want to get beat up. So but the things that Kathy was subjected to were horrible. And it was just, Shelly did take away all her clothes like she did with Shane. She only left her with a bra and underwear, which later she made her just walk around the house in that. And Kathy was very self-conscious because she was a bigger lady. So when Shelly made her walk around the house with just a bra and underwear, that was so humiliating. It was just another part of her abuse that she did on Kathy and the family members. So she took all that away. She had to wear just that in front of everybody. And then she was told when she could go to the bathroom. She wasn't allowed to just be able to go. She was like the kids, and she was told when she could bathe also, but it wasn't really bathing because no one was allowed to use the bathroom to bathe. So she was just like the kids. She was not allowed to use it. She was told that she had to be hosed outside. She had to be hosed off because they were not allowed to use shampoo or soap. She also had to use bleach too to wash herself off, which is incredibly sad. And Kathy later told them how much it burned her skin, you know, told Nate and the kids, and when they would get to talk to each other. So it was just really sad. So they used that to wash her off. Not only do the children have to partake in this abuse, they have to witness the effects that are having on Kathy in every sense of the word. Deteriorated, like right in front of them. She was deteriorating right in front of them. She was going in such bad health. She ended up losing over 100 pounds. She ended up losing her teeth. They started falling out. Her hair was falling out. She would pull her hair out. They even did something so awful. They did so many awful things, but one thing that really stuck out to me was they made Kathy go outside in the middle of the winter when the yard, you know how, well, I live in South Carolina now, but I used to live in Vermont. We used to get a ton of snow. But for all you who, when you get a ton of snow and it gets really cold, it will turn into just like solid ice. Like your whole yard will be ice. And they would make Kathy get naked and start at the top of the hill and just lay on her stomach and go down the hill, and she would just be hitting ice and chunks of ice and all this, that when she got up there was a trail of blood that went all the way down the hill. And remember, all of Shelly's kids are seeing this, so that's very emotionally traumatizing to them also. It's awful. In 1992 they moved back to the farmhouse that they lived in before. So they moved to the other farmhouse, and it was a little bit smaller, but it was really all that Dave could afford at that point because he was the only one working, and Shelly was spending all his money, like I said. So with it being smaller, that meant that there was less space. Kathy was made to sleep in the pump house, and the girls shared a bedroom, but Shane wasn't allowed to sleep in that room. He had to sleep in their closet. And this is kind of where Kathy finally realized, you know, if she didn't do something, that she might not make it. She might not survive through all of these horrible things that Shelly's doing to her. And she finally realized that. So she did try to escape a couple times, but within hours, Shelly always came and found her. She was almost like a bloodhound dog, you know, and people would always say that Shelly would always pride herself in being able to find whatever, you know, anything that she could. If somebody ran away from her, she would always find them, and she would drag them back to the house to just keep on with the abuse. It got to the point where Shelly was actually drugging her, giving her a bunch of different drugs like Vicodin and things like that, and it was knocking her out. Then on top of that, for food, she was not given food. She was given old, moldy, bad food that had either been in the refrigerator or sitting out on the counter or something, and she would put it in a blender and blend it all together and kind of make like a smoothie. But it was not, it's disgusting. It was just a bunch of rotten food that she would give to Kathy. So she was really not getting any nutrients at all in her body. It got to the point where she really couldn't fight anymore. She would just lay there, and even the kids tried to help her escape because they pretty much knew that she was gonna die soon. I mean, everyone could tell, but they were scared of Shelly too, that she would find her, or Kathy would tell Shelly that the kids helped her or something like that. And then in July of 1994, Dave was working out of town. He started working out of town all the time, which I don't blame him, but and he would only come home on the weekend, so he didn't know a lot that was going on at home, which isn't like an excuse, but still, you know, obviously Shelly didn't tell him what had been going on. He didn't know all the abuse that was going on with Kathy and Shane and his kids. So when he comes home, he sees Kathy and he's like, she does not look like she's, you know, in good shape at all. And when Dave says that he thinks that she, you know, needs help, Shelly was like, no, we can't take her anywhere. She'll tell on me, I'll get in trouble, I'll go to jail, the police will come here. So, Dave was like, you know, I can have Kathy, you know, taken and drop her off somewhere, but he wasn't given the opportunity because right in front of them, Kathy's breathing starts to slow. I mean, really, really slow. And then she starts to vomit. She starts to vomit all over the place. And Dave and Shane are there. They're trying to give her CPR. They're trying to give her the Heimlich. They're trying to, you know, see if they can get anything out of her throat so she can start breathing again, because they're like, oh crap, you know, what do we do? The kids say that when they found out that Shelly died, that they felt like she was genuinely shocked, thinking she would have, like, Shelly was thinking she was generally shocked because she was thinking that she would have Kathy forever to just keep at her house and to have someone to abuse. Dave is the one who got rid of Kathy's body. He burned the remains, and then he went to the ocean and sprinkled her ashes. Kathy's family actually showed up and asked Shelly, you know, where's Kathy? We know that she was living here, this and that. And she told her family that she had met a truck driver and she went off with him and moved away, and she hasn't heard from her since. And the family believed that. Come on, like, Oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then what Shane does next is kind of crazy. He's getting tired of getting beat up too. He's getting tired of the abuse and all that. And so he has an idea. He pulls out these Polaroid pictures that he has, and they are of Kathy, either in the days up to or the day that she passed away, because she's all beaten up, she's bruised, she looks like she might have been dead in a couple of the pictures. And Shane is like, you know, he's like, he told Sammy and Nikki, he was like, we have to take these pictures and we can take them to the police and prove that Aunt Shelly killed Kathy. And it was just that's that happened. And actually, when Shelly found out that that he had these Polaroid pictures, Dave grabs the rifle and goes to the pump house, which is now, since Kathy's gone, this is where Shane lives, and he shoots Shane and kills him. And they do the same thing with his body. They burn his body, and then Dave brings his ashes to the ocean and just throws them in the ocean. The girls woke up and Shelly said that Shane had ran away, but they knew better. They asked about him every day, where he went, and now that Shane was gone, Nikki was again the main target of Shelly's abuse. She would chase Nikki around the house with a knife. She actually stabbed her in the leg once, and she should have had stitches, but she ended up running out of the house into the woods and hiding until the next day. In 1993, Nikki ended up going off to college, which was really sad because their little sister Tori was really close to her, and that meant that she didn't have anybody. You know, she has Sammy there with her, but it's sad that Nikki had to, you know, leave her. And then actually she went to community college, and then Tori started writing little notes to Nikki just to put her emotions on paper. You know, obviously she couldn't send it to her because it was mail, and Shelly would find out. But one day Shelly does find the notes under her bed, and that's when Tori becomes the main target of abuse. When Tori was going to school, one of her classmates' moms tells Shelly, she was like, your girl has a lot of bruises on her all the time, and this and that. And Shelly was just like, no, she's just really clumsy. She makes up these excuses, and just nobody ever finds out. Poor Tori. It's just really sad. Sammy did end up coming back and forth. She ended up going to and meeting a boy. She had a new boyfriend, and she ended up coming back and forth for Tori, I think because she felt bad for leaving her by herself, but at the same time she knew that she couldn't go back and live at that house and it be that abusive and toxic to be around. So it's just sad. And so like I said, now that the girls are gone, this leaves Tori as Shelly's next target. Most of the abuse had to deal with humiliation. Shelly would do what she called progression exams on Tori, which is disgusting, which meant that she would make her get naked, and then she would critique her progression of developing. Like, no, that's wrong, but yeah, that's what she did to Tori. So she was becoming really the main person that got abused at the house. And so shortly after this, Shelly met I do not know how, but she got a job at a nursing home. Who knows how? Apparently they didn't do background checks back then, but a couple weeks after moving there, she meets a man named Ron Woolworth, who was working for Habitat for Humanity, and that causes him to come into Shelly's life. Him and Shelly hit it off, you know, really fast because they were both going through a lot. His husband had just left him and his father passed away. But so Shelly was like, why don't you come and, you know, live with me? I won't make you pay rent, and we'll have each other, and we'll be really good friends, blah, blah, blah. When he first got there, he did have a couple of pairs of clothes and blankets and things like that. But Shelly, after a week, all of his clothes were gone. She made him work outside in only his underwear. So, of course, trying to humiliate him. And weeks and weeks go by, and she just keeps taking clothes, and like they just disappear on him. Finally, she was so abusive to Ron that one day he came home, and instead of Ron, you know, peeing on her farm, or what she would think was disrespectful, he peed in a cup, and that made her so mad that she made him drink it. Like, how disgusting is this woman? I can't deal with her. But while all this is going on at home, she is still taking care of the elderly at the nursing home that she's working at. And one of them is named James McClintock. He required around-the-clock care, and he really wanted Shelly to stay with him at his house. So he's like, Shelly, come and stay with me. And she was like, you know, if I didn't have kids, I would definitely come and help you. But she did have kids. So she made Ron go to this man's house and basically be a slave for him. She made Ron go over there and stay over there and clean and cook and do work on the house and all that. He was over there every day taking care of him, sometimes spending the night, just to show that control that Shelly had over him. Like, she is awful. She would brag to people that Mr. McClintock was like a father to her, and that if she wasn't always over there checking and calling on him, she would be rubbing his feet, and she would be, you know, just really taking care of him and spoiling him and all of those things like that. This lady, it's just crazy. In September 2001, a will was set up saying that if he did pass away, he would leave his house and his money to his dog. But his dog actually passed away before he did. So when he passed away, he did leave everything to Shelly that he had. He ended up dying, and like I said, he left everything to her. And then Kathy's mother, wanted investigators to look into his death just because it's another person that died in Shelly's, like, while living with her or being around her. And she finds out that Shelly is the one who is supposed to collect everything and thinks something's up. The authorities look into it but don't seem bothered, and when they speak to the coroner, he confirms that the injury on his head was constant with the big fall. So I didn't tell you that he was working on the roof, and Kathy, so his feet were so tore up, she didn't let him wear shoes while working on the roof, so his feet had blisters and everything on him, and she made him jump on the roof onto a bunch of sharp rocks and everything, and it just tore his feet apart. And he ended up falling and then going to the hospital, and he did pass away that way. Since there wasn't anything else on his body that looked suspicious, the authorities wrapped it up. So after Mark died, Shelly really ramped up her torture on Ron, just screaming at him, telling him over and over that he killed Mac, making him feel guilty, almost making him want to make like a confession to the police. And she made him stand in front of a mirror and say, I'm a murderer, I'm a murderer, I'm a murderer. Every day she made him do this all the time. It's like she almost wanted him to believe that he murdered him. And it was just really bad. So after all of that happened, in the last month, Ron had met with one of his friends before he passed away, and she was just like, this just isn't him. He's dirty and he's just not happy-go-lucky like his usual self, and she thinks something's wrong with him. And she's like, let me take you home and you can come live with him. But he says no, because he's just so under control by her, and it's just really, really sad. So it's just sad. But the authorities, they actually already tried to go to the police and report her mother, and no one took it seriously. It wasn't long before that she went to her grandmother, and she believed her mom had killed Kathy. So it was just like big mess, but the authorities still didn't want to believe anything. They just didn't want to believe it. They just really didn't want to. Not only so Dave finally admitted to the authorities that he admitted to getting rid of Kathy and Shane's bodies, but he also says where they can find tons of bodies currently on the property. It just gets crazier and crazier, where they can find tons of bodies currently on the property. On August 8, 2003, Shelly and Dave were arrested finally. Thank goodness. They needed to be arrested a long time ago. Shelly was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and the deaths of Kathy and Ron. Shane and Dave was charged with first-degree murder of Shane and the disposal of human remains. So thank goodness they got caught. They got caught with that. She did plead guilty. She pleaded to 1 count of second-degree murder and 1 count of manslaughter, and was sentenced to 15 years in prison for second-degree murder of Shane. So Dave is already out because he killed Shane and he admitted to that. Shelly was sentenced to 22 years, and her daughters don't even think that she should be released. She's supposed to be released in June of this year. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I did try to research it, and I haven't seen where she's been released yet. It still says that she's supposed to be released in June of 2022, but her daughters are deathly afraid of her. They're scared that if she gets out, she's going to kill more people. Like, they're telling them that. They're like, please don't let her out. She will kill more people. Don't let her out. And since the date is approaching, they just kind of wanted to share their stories, and that's when Greg Olsen got with them and wrote this book. It's just they don't think they should be released. They're all scared of her. She's a murderer. I mean, the date is coming, and like I said, they don't think that she should be released. They don't want her to do any of this to any other victims and hurt anybody else. Like, she's already hurt these people. But it's just, how crazy is that story? It's just, Shelly is such a horrible person, and I still can't believe somebody would do those things to people in general and their families, and it's awful. But like I said, it comes from this book. It's called If You Tell. It's a good book. It is hard to get through because it is a lot. It's a lot. But if you can handle it, I would read it because it is pretty good. And I hope that you liked my first video. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little rough for me. I know that I stutter a little bit, say a lot and this and that, but like I said, it is my first video. So if you can let me know in the comments some things that I can do to, you know, some constructive criticism, some things that I can do to make this better, or a better experience for y'all to be able to want to watch my videos every week, then I would love those comments. So please just write me some comments, and don't forget to hit the notification button so that you can see when I come out with a new video. And please subscribe so that I can keep making videos, and so maybe one day I can really get my dream to come true, because I've been wanting to do YouTube forever. So subscribe, and I will get back on track with doing these videos. I'll do a video every week. I just wanted to do one today so y'all didn't think that I forgot about you. It will be every Monday, and then I'll be making another video every Thursday, and that will be sort of like a random, it could be, you know, astrology, because I know a lot about that, the occult, just conspiracy theories, anything like that. Just give me some suggestions and I am down for it. But I'll be making those. Give me some ideas. My email is under my bio, and I had a lot of fun making this video. I mean, not fun, but it was fun to be able to do, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And I hope that everybody has a great day, and stay safe, guys. I will talk to you later. Bye.